right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. The prejudging for the 2024 Mr. Olympia just wrapped up, and it was an exciting one. The first call-out, you had a 7-man call-out of Hunter Labrada, Rafael Brandao, Andrew Jacked, Martin Fitzwater, Derek Lunsford, Hadi Chupin, and Samson Dauda. Now, this was an interesting call-out because initially Derek was in the middle, and they moved him out and put Samson in the middle. And I think this is more of a first impressions call-out than anything because it's such a big shot. It's such a wide shot frame here. It's hard to really see or focus on any one guy while 7 guys are posing. So we're not going to spend too much time on this call-out. But the way these guys are positioned here in this initial call-out is going to carry on into the top 3 call-out and then the call-out before that determines 4th, 5th, and 6th. But you get the impression pretty immediately from this call-out that it's going to be the same top 3 again, Hadi, Derek, and Samson. So let's get into the call-out here that was comparing for 4th, 5th, and 6th. I really would have liked to see one of these guys, particularly I would have liked to see Martin in the final 3 call-out with Samson, Derek, and Hadi. But Martin's in the center here. They did change him out with Andrew. Then they changed Andrew out with Hunter. So they had all 3 of those guys in the center at one point during this call-out. So it looks like that's going to be your bottom 3 of the top 6. Not necessarily in that order, but Hunter, Martin, and Andrew are looking at 4, 5, and 6. I think Martin is going to be 4th. I was really, really impressed with Martin here. Andrew looked good, but I don't think he did enough with the conditioning. He still had a little bit of a soft look to him. By far, obviously biggest, freakiest guy in this lineup. But Martin was just really, really impressive here. Great conditioning. It looks like he peaked perfectly for this. His legs are crazy. His back is crazy. Round, full, just very complete physique. Martin really nailed it here. He really impressed me. And if I had to pick which one of those 3 guys that was moved into the center, which one would be 4th, I would go with Martin. I think Andrew Jacked did enough to be 5th. Like, I wouldn't say Andrew was off here because Andrew is Andrew. He kind of has this look at every show. He's not quite on a level of a Hadi or a Derek when it comes to conditioning. He's got a little bit of a thicker skin, softer look. And by the way, I am going to try to throw as many pictures as I can into this video because the live stream, you guys let me know in the comments below if you guys noticed this, but the live stream was very, very dark, which made it harder to see the darker complected competitors, Andrew being one of them. So I'm going to try to throw in some pictures in here if I can find some where it's a little bit better lighting, where you can see a little bit more clearly what's going on here. But from this call-out, I think I would go Martin in 4th, Andrew in 5th, and Hunter in 6th. And I think Hunter in this call-out and at the Olympia this year, he definitely looked better than he looked at that Italy show. This package from Hunter, I would agree, is one of his best, if not his best. But still, I think I prefer Martin to Hunter and Martin to Andrew just because Martin's conditioning was so ahead. And like I said, I really wanted to see Martin squeeze into that top 3 call-out and just get those comparisons. And maybe we'll get to see that with the finals tomorrow. But, man, Martin looked phenomenal here. I was very, very impressed with him. And this has got to be huge for him. His first time qualifying for the Olympia in open bodybuilding and top 4 right out of the gate. Even if he's not 4th, top 6 right out of the gate. And then I think Rafael is probably looking at 7th. Rafael looked really good too, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on him here because it looks like he's outside of the top 6, but he looked really good here too. I think he definitely looked a lot better than some of those pictures that we saw from him going into the show. He was really impressive, so I don't want to neglect talking about him because even if he's 7th, that's still 3 places ahead of his highest Olympia placing, which was 10th, so still a massive win for him and a massive improvement, 7th or 8th or whatever he's going to be. It does look like he'll be higher than 10th, though. So let's take a look at the top 3 here. I think this is going to be a very close top 3. Everybody here looked pretty on. Samson looked a lot better than he looked at that press conference, and that's why I said wait till you see his lower body, because all we saw was him take off his shirt. And I said his lower body is typically the best indicator of what kind of shape Samson is in. And his lower body looked pretty good here. His hamstrings looked pretty carved out. His quads looked really good. I felt like his legs got better as he posed. And I think you saw a good amount of detail from Samson in the lower body. Now, looking at Derek looks a little bit bigger than last year. I don't know if he's as tight this year as he was last year, but he looked a little bit bigger to me, a little bit fuller, particularly his chest. His chest looked a lot fuller to me, which was something we wanted him to bring up. I noticed when he was posing, you could start to see a little bit more striation in his chest than he had last year. It was fuller, a little bit more detailed, and that was kind of the big knock on Derek, was him versus Hadi, because Hadi has these crazy deep chest striations. But still, Hadi takes it in the most muscular, because Derek still doesn't have it the way he hits the most muscular. Hadi still got that crazy strided crazy strided chest in the most muscular, and Derek still doesn't quite have it in that pose like Hadi does. But I'm starting to see it in poses like the side chest, even the side tricep. You can see that far pec pushing up against the other side, and you can see striations going across Derek's chest. And sometimes when he poses, he comes down for the front double bicep, and he like squeezes his chest together, and you can see those striations kind of starting. So he definitely looks like he brought up his chest. Now, Hadi Chupin, of the three guys, I think is clearly the most conditioned of the three. And that's why you've got kind of an interesting battle here. I think this is going to be very close. Because Hadi, crazy conditioning. I'd say this is probably on par with the Arnold Classic Ohio Hadi Chupin. I don't know if I would say better than the Arnold, but Hadi, I think, certainly looks better here than last year's Olympia. So we've kind of got ourselves in the same situation as last year. It's Hadi's the most conditioned guy in the lineup. Samson is the biggest guy in the lineup. And when I say the lineup, I'm talking about the top three. So Hadi's the most conditioned. Samson is the biggest, and then Derek, I don't even know if I would say he's the most aesthetic. I would say Samson is probably more aesthetic than Derek, but Derek has crazy shape. He's got a crazy taper, and the best back of the three. This is a tough one, guys. I would still say that while Samson looks good here, and they did have Samson in the center, and I'm not too worried about him being in the center in this top three call-out because they had everybody in the center. I should have mentioned that. They had every Derek, Hadi, and Samson all interchange in that middle spot. But the fact that in that very first 7-man call-out, they moved Samson to the middle and moved Derek out of the middle just kind of makes me think a little bit here. I would still think that while he looks good, I still don't know if the conditioning is enough. Like, I wouldn't say there's any noticeable difference in conditioning from last year. I mean, to me, he looks about the same. He might have looked better at the Arnold. I think the package that Samson brought to the Arnold Classic UK was a little bit tighter than this. And Hadi beat Samson there. But I don't know. I can't decide if Hadi looked better at the Arnold or if Hadi looked better here. Because I think from the back, Derek looks more conditioned than Hadi, but that was the same case as last year. And even though Hadi's upper back looks improved, I feel like the hamstrings weren't as carved out as Derek's. But I guess that's the same as last year. Hadi's like peeled from the front and just not as peeled from the back. Derek is lights out from the back, not as peeled from the front. So I guess if we take all that into consideration, Derek looks improved from last year in one of the areas that we really wanted to see him improve, which was his chest. He looks slightly bigger than last year. I'd say conditioning is comparable. He'll probably take both back poses again this year, even though Hadi's upper back looked a little improved. But then, man, I keep going back and looking at that first call-out and seeing Samson standing in between Derek and Hadi, dead center. The judges put him there. So it would make sense that they're comparing Samson for a top 2 spot in that first call-out. Man, I don't know. This is closer than last year for sure. I think this could really go any way. Because if they're comparing Samson for top 2, would they be comparing him against Derek? And for Samson to win, he would really have to knock the champ out. He would really have to blow Derek out of the water. And I don't think he's doing that. here. His conditioning is good, but it kind of looks the same as Samson next to Derek last year. This is really a tight race for the top 3. So I'm looking at this like we've got the same top 3 as last year. They did the exact same thing. They moved each guy into the middle, did a full round for each guy. So with the same top 3, I feel like it really just comes down to what looks different with these 3 guys from last year. Hadi was the most peeled guy last year, mostly from the front. I would say that's also true this year. Derek was the best from the back last year, also true this year. Samson is the biggest guy, the tallest guy. That was also true last year. So I feel like Derek made improvements to the chest, which was big. I think his back, he's still taking both back poses. But I don't feel like Derek was as sharp as he was last year. He was a little bit bigger, but maybe not as sharp. I think the safe pick here is probably Derek, because this call-out just feels kind of like deja vu from last year. And I don't feel like anybody really blew Derek out of the water here. You got to really knock out the champ, and I don't think either Hadi or Samson did that, so I feel like the safe bet would be Derek. I don't know. I'd like to see some more pictures tomorrow when more pictures come out with better lighting and stuff and see how they compare, but this stream, a little bit dark. It just feels like deja vu from last year. I mean, Samson looked really impressive, but that's the thing is he looks impressive every time he's on stage with these shorter guys because he is so much bigger and taller and more muscular. So is it really, does he look that different from last year to where we're not going to have the same scenario? And then again, if I compare Hadi and Derek, it's like the same thing as last year. Hadi is peeled to the bone from the front. He's the best guy from the front when it comes to conditioning. Derek peeled to the bone from the back, best back. And I think even though Hadi brought up his back, Derek still takes those shots. So I feel like with this looking not that different from last year, the safe bet would have to be Derek. Because like I said, Samson does look really good here, but he looked really good when he went up against Hadi last time. He looked great at the Arnold Classic UK, and Hadi beat him there. I would say Hadi looks better here than the UK. I don't know if he looks better than the Ohio. So I'm looking at it like, does Samson look better enough to not only now beat Hadi, who he hasn't beaten before, but then also beat Derek, knock out the champ? I still don't think we're seeing that level of condition from Samson to where he knocks out both guys that he's never beaten before. I don't know, man. That very first call-out is messing with my head. The way they put Samson in the middle of that first call-out, man, it really makes me think that Samson's got a shot. No matter what happens, this is going to be a can't-miss finals. I feel like I'm going to change my opinion first thing tomorrow. This is about as close of a top 3 I think we've seen in a while. I really wouldn't be surprised if it goes any which way. I feel like the safe bet is Derek for the win, but I wouldn't be shocked if it were Hadi or Samson either. That's how good this top 3 is, man. And again, this was such an impressive top 3. I don't want to overshadow those other guys that were in that other call-out. Martin, Brandau, Hunter, Andrew Jack. They were incredible too. This is a hell of an Olympia this year, man. Be sure to let me know who you guys think is going to win in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be 1,000 comments on this video because I feel like there's so many Samson fans that think Samson has it. All those Hadi Chupin fans think Hadi has it. And I think all the Derek Lunsford fans think Derek has it. This is a close one, man. This is like a coin toss. So let me know down below who you've got winning. I'm very curious to see. I do think it's safe to say nobody is running away with it here. Like there's like no clear front runner. This is not a Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman year. Any of these guys could take it. This is a close one. All right, so 212. In 4th place, Kareth Baggio. In 3rd place, Angel Calderon. In 2nd place, Sean Clarita. And in 1st place, and still, no surprise here, Keone Pearson bringing an insane physique to this 212 Olympia stage. Still not even at his weight limit, by the way. The guy still has room to grow, but substantially improved from last year. A bigger version of Keone, better conditioned version of Keone. And I think you saw him go up against the opposite of Sean Clarita. Sean Clarita was smaller instead of bigger. His proportions were off. One of his legs was smaller than the other. His chest looked smaller. And that was already kind of a weak point for him. Even though his downsizing was intentional, I don't think it worked. Whereas Keone upsized, put on some weight for this show, put on some muscle for this show, and I think noticeably so. And this is really, I think, one of the best physiques I've seen on a bodybuilding stage. And I think Keone's going to have a lot of pressure as far as moving to open bodybuilding, because if you look at that open lineup tonight, everybody was great, but imagine Keone in that lineup. I think Keone would have done well. I think Keone would have been first call out in that open Olympia lineup. That's how good Keone was here. So the question with Keone now is, will he stay in 212? Will he continue to reign as 212 Olympia champ? Because this kind of seems like it might be the beginning of the Keone era in the 212 division. I don't know if Sean's going to be able to come back and beat him, because it wasn't just that Sean wasn't the same as last year's. It wasn't just that Sean was smaller. It was that Keone was crazy improved. And I want to show you guys this picture. I saw this comparison on Instagram, and I thought it was insane. The changes that Keone made. On the left is Keone from last year's Olympia. On the right is Keone from this year's Olympia. And I don't even think you guys need me to point you to the changes that Keone has made. But in particular, look at his lower body. His hamstrings like doubled in size. Look at the work that Keone clearly put into his physique. And keep in mind, that before picture, that physique that you're seeing on the left, that won the Olympia last year. So Keone won and didn't rest on his laurels. You can really tell that Keone put in the work during this offseason to bring a new and improved package. And that's exactly what he did. I think he just overwhelmed Sean Clarita with crazy improvements from last year. This is without a doubt the best Keone we've seen to date, and one of my favorite physiques I think we've seen to date. You kind of wondered about, would Keone sacrifice any of those crazy lines putting on some size? Well, he put on some significant size here, and he still had that crazy just shape, that genetic. I mean, he's gifted, man. And honestly, I'm really excited to see what he does next. I really do think that if he decided to make the move to open one day, he's got a real shot at following in the footsteps of Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin and being one of the top guys in open. Because keep in mind, Derek only won the 212 Olympia one time before going to open and being the runner-up. Keone has now won it twice, and I think arguably has maybe even better genetics than Derek does. So I'm really curious what Keone in the open would look like, but very dominant performance from Keone this weekend, and I'm very, very stoked for him. So that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon, because the Olympia weekend is just getting started. There's a lot more to talk about. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. All right, guys, today's video is brought to you by the Arnold Sports Festival. Go to their website, arnoldsports.com. Buy some merch, buy some tickets for next year. Watch the replay of last year's live stream for free, and look forward to and anticipate another live stream in 2025.
I was born a bodybuilder and I will die a bodybuilder. This is the #1 bodybuilding show in the world. It was really spectacular. We're going to go up to $500,000 for the winner next year.
All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.